We're back, episode number 3 of the Spread Option podcast, brought to you by the Let Me Be Frank Umbrella Podcast Network. Brian and Nick here with you, and it was a pretty good week 1, I would say, all in all, for both of us here.
Yeah, we're definitely going to recap our results from this past weekend, but I think we definitely ended up ahead. There was a few tough ones, that didn't go our way. My personal weekend ended on a bit of a sour note. Had a teaser of LSU plus 10 with Florida State minus a half. It said when Brian and I were discussing that game I said Virginia Tech plus 7.5 was my pick, and instead of giving them more of a cushion, I decided to roll with the Fighting Taggarts of Florida State, and I got absolutely bent. So my LSU teaser got absolutely ruined because of that. So that and USC barely didn't cover, but had a lot of hits, and I know you did too.
Yeah, it was a nice little weekend. I was on the right side of all 4 of the ranked matchups. LSU, Virginia Tech, making me look like a genius. 15-6 overall through the weekend for me. My card, I believe, going into the weekend was around 15 and added 5 or 6 more bets. Some of them won, not many of them. I know I got on Wisconsin, Western Kentucky's over live, which was 40. And the game ended 34-3 because Western Kentucky did a double reverse pass inside the 10-yard line and turned it over. But yeah, you live and you learn. We're back for more. The other big loss I had, I'm very honest about my losses. We talked about this before. I'm just gonna keep it going. Florida Atlantic, double unit play, plus 21. Yep. Not even close. Even close.
And one of our original episodes, I had talked about how Kyler Murray could be a Heisman candidate, and how he didn't look too bad.
He looks real good. But so did my guy Will Greer too, against Tennessee.
Big win. Just to recap my win. So yes, it wouldn't be a gambling podcast or an honest one if we just said we won everything, because we lay our picks out there. We follow through with them. So yes, USC was minus 26. They won by 22, but that's in the gambling world, that's not a win.
Correct.
And Florida State wasn't what I thought it was going to be in that teaser, but I bet on Central Florida to score a touchdown on their first score of the game at minus 130. That hit. I took their spread. I think it was 24.5. I doubled down on Auburn. I live bet them when they were losing at plus 120. I had them live minus 1. Had them live minus 1.5. Had them minus 2.5 live. I had them minus 2.5 or minus 3 before the game. Auburn cleaned up. I said that Louisville last week, I was for sure that Saban was going to try to embarrass Bobby Petrino's offense. So I took Louisville under 19 points, and it ended up 51-14. So that was a hit for me. And then my lock of the week was a hit, which was probably the biggest joke of a line all week, which was the Wyoming-Washington State's over-under, which was, I believe, 44 when I bet it. And I believe Washington State eclipsed it by themselves. It was quite a joke.
And if they didn't, they were very close. Like it was a laughable line to the point where you and I texted each other like halfway through the second quarter, and there were 40 points on the board already.
Yeah, it was my lock of the week. I couldn't believe it because Wyoming's offense looked pretty good week 1. I mean, albeit against a really, really shitty New Mexico State team. But, I mean, they looked good, and Mike Leach was going to pull out all the stops like he always does. And if you guys didn't see it at home, they ran a fucking ridiculous formation. Holy shit. That was absurd.
Like the swinging gate, essentially, but with a center that wasn't a center that flipped the ball like 15 yards back to the numbers near the sideline. It was such a weird play.
Like a one-handed snap, and then they were both runs.
Yeah.
And it was very confusing. And it was weird because I think they ran like 2 plays, got like 6 or 7 yards. It wasn't very effective, but it was kind of a funny Twitter video, I guess. But yeah, those were the hits. So we're moving into week 2. So we've been through week 0. We slept on Hawaii.
Yeah,
I overrated Florida State. Your ACC Sleeper Virginia Tech pick is not looking too bad right now after kind of a dominating road win.
Plus
And
750 to win that division. Looks real good right now.
oh yeah, that's a nice pick. So we've got a new slate of games, and luckily, I don't know if either of us bet on the Texas Maryland game, but that would have been awful.
I did. That
You,
was like I was looking back at my card on my notes. That in Florida Atlantic are the two losses that I had written down. I had Notre Dame with the pick'em. I had the under 47, LSU, Virginia Tech, UCF,
yeah,
Stanford, Colorado, which was also a joke of a line. Colorado
yeah. I think
favored
I
by
took Stanford
7
and Notre
points.
Dame too. I took Stanford and Notre Dame. So I mean, I had a great weekend.
And then
You
I
know,
had the Hawaii Navy over, which was obliterated.
yeah, was it again? We're
It
riding
was
Navy over again.
59-41, and the line was 62.
Jesus, Jesus Christ, that's yeah, yeah. Navy overs might be a thing again. They never went
Oh,
away.
they never left. That's the big thing. Um,
Thoughts and prayers to anybody who slept on Appalachian State.
yeah, that was another tough one. I'm sure a lot of people out there.
Utah State. If anyone was heavy on the Spartans, that those were some games that were way too close.
Hmm.
Uh,
The Big Ten, for whatever reason it is, they sleep early in the year, except for Ohio State, who dropped
oh
77.
my, oh my God, they covered -40.
Yeah.
They hit 77 points. It's outrageous. Yeah.
We'll go to the week 2 games. There are only 2 matchups between ranked teams. Georgia heads to South Carolina, and USC heads to Stanford. Let's start in the SEC. Georgia taking on the Gamecocks. Gamecocks enter the rankings this week at 24. Not, they weren't very impressive. They won against a far inferior opponent, much like Georgia did. Not too much to see among the two teams. Any way you're going in this one?
I got to go with Georgia here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a big difference at the quarterback position with Fromm, and I'm a big believer in that UGA defense. So yeah, South Carolina. I mean, there wasn't much there. I think it opened at 9. It's already moved into the double digits. It's hanging around 10 or 11,
Ten
depending
and a
on.
half right now.
So there you go. Yeah, I'm still taking Georgia. I think Georgia wins this game by 2 scores, no doubt. I really like them, and I like their quarterback, and I think the defense is great, and they're always going to have a strong ground game. And South Carolina, they just don't excite me. I know Georgia has the capabilities to put up big time offensive production and play great defense, and I just think with a Will Muschamp team, they just don't want to get involved in a shootout. Like it's just not going to go well for them. And I think Georgia is obviously more than capable of putting up some big points. So, yeah, I'm going to go Georgia. I'll say something along the lines of 35-17, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you that Georgia's going to win. I think Debo Samuel on South Carolina is one of the most explosive players in the SEC. That being said, South Carolina gave 15 points last week to Coastal Carolina. Not a lot, but it's still enough to get me
It's
to wonder if
significant.
they can. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's to the point where I'm curious what a Georgia offense can do against this team. Because of that, I'm waiting on this one. I want to see where the line moves. If it gets above 11, I'm going to take South Carolina. Anything
Well,
under 11, I'm all over Georgia.
I think the move here from a because we can talk about some of our other picks. This has Georgia and a teaser written all over it. It's
Yeah,
kind of an iffy line, but if you get in one of these 3-14 teaser type deals, if you can get Georgia down to -3, -4, just it's gonna happen. So
absolutely. And it's again, it's one of those things where they've got just the weird odd numbered lines that'll mess you up. The other ranked matchup, Stanford and USC, like I mentioned before, the Cardinal hosting after a somewhat decent win last week. They
who was the receiver? That guy had a hell of a
JJ
fucking.
Arcega-Whiteside, 3 touchdowns. He looked great.
Yes, he
Bryce
did.
Love, the best player in college football, was completely bottled up, and San Diego State looked good to open the game and never really did anything after that. KJ
Yeah.
Costello, quarterback for Stanford, was inconsistent, but when he was on, he looked really good. He missed a lot of open receivers, but other than that, it was a decent game for him. I'm not overly impressed with Stanford, but I wasn't also overly impressed with USC, who
Nope.
beat UNLV, like we mentioned before. JT Daniels looks to be pretty good, but that run defense for USC got absolutely trashed. 300 plus yards on the ground for the Rebels.
Yeah. USC was one of the teams I said was going to have a huge week. Probably blow them out. And I mean, yeah, winning by 22 points against anybody isn't anything to scoff at. But UNLV is just really not a very good program right now. They've gone through a lot of turmoil, including their. I bring up literally, it's impossible to bring up UNLV without the fact they lost to Howard last year. I mean, that goes
Yeah,
without saying. But man, this one's tough because I think I'm going to take USC plus 6. Um, I might. I'm very tempted by their money line too. I just don't see Stanford. I mean, they looked pretty good on offense, but I think USC can hang right there with them and put up some points. I think USC at plus 190 and plus 6 is a pretty solid bet, and another game where I would tease USC into the double digits, and I think you'd be pretty okay. I mean, Stanford being at home is huge there. Arcea Whiteside and Love and is a damn good number one receiver, number one running back tandem. But yeah, I really trust USC this week. Let's see if I regret it. But the plus 190 is tempting, and then I mean I'm thinking I'm gonna take it. I'm already thinking about USC getting them up to plus 13, and then having Georgia come in at like -4, and that's gonna kind of get my teaser going.
I like that play. I'm taking Stanford, though, -6. When you look at everything, break it all down, Costello will be decent. JT Daniels will be the better of the two quarterbacks. He doesn't
Yep.
really have a playmaking receiver, though, like Costello does in Arcega Whiteside. But the game changer is the running game. And if USC's defense is even half as bad as they were last week, Bryce Love is going to have 200 plus yards. That's what makes the difference for me. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'd also lean towards the under, but the only thing I'm going to take in this one for now, things change come Friday and Saturday, is Stanford -6. I think this is a good one. I do like your teaser call, though. I don't think it's going to be a 2-score game. I think it's going to be single-digit win for the Cardinal, hopefully above 6, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's going to be close. It's going to be a fun one to watch, and I think that teaser is a smart play.
It's so lazy for us to go, well, these are two ranked teams going against each other. Like, these are going to be close games. But honestly, these spreads I think are kind of right on. I honestly think these are very good spreads. There's some spreads where in over unders where you just kind of have that gut feeling instantly, and you go, yeah, this is a joke. Like that Washington State Wyoming thing was a joke, and
Yep.
the fact that they thought Louisville could approach double digits against Alabama was a joke. And there's some things you just know, and or you'd like to think you know. These are too hard to call, and I think I think Georgia's going to win, and it's very fair to say Stanford. I would say Stanford between these two teams looked better last week. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Stanford had a more of a convincing win, and I'd say if I know it's it's any given Saturday kind of thing, but I mean, and it doesn't really matter because it's irrelevant. But if you had San Diego State match up with UNLV, I think San Diego State, and they actually might this year because of being in the same conference. But yeah, I think later on down the road, I think San Diego State would win that game by quite a few points. So I think Stanford looked better against a more quality opponent, but something about USC and that getting up in the double digits leads me to believe they could, take care of their leg of a teaser. So that's my play.
Yeah. I like that.
I don't think I'm gonna bet. The only thing I bet on this game is the money line. I think that USC plus 190 has some serious upside.
Okay.
Because in a low scoring close game, which I agree it also will be, but that's my pick.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, those are the only two ranked games of the week, so we can run through our cards here real quick. Obviously, last week went really well for me. I'm feeling good, so it can only mean that it's going to be a bad week. So if you want, I'm giving you the absolute right to fade me. It's a perfectly logical play after coming off a hot week, but I'm going to list a few. Nick, you can list a couple, and then we'll just run through till we're out. All right?
Okay, let's just crank them out. Yeah, and then if we want to feed off each other's picks, then feel
Yeah,
free to submit on mine and vice versa. Hopefully, so.
absolutely. So the aforementioned UNLV Running Rebels, I'm going to take them minus 24 against UTEP. The UTEP Mighty Miners lost last week by 20 at home to FCS Northern Arizona. UNLV just ran for over 300 yards against USC. I don't see any way that UNLV does not cover this game and win by at least 4 touchdowns.
I did not know that about UTEP,
Yeah,
but
they're
holy shit,
bad.
that's
They're
that's
bad.
that's pretty embarrassing, I gotta say. Wow.
The the next one I'm going to run over to DeKalb, Illinois for Utah, Northern Illinois.
Ooh.
Going with the under 47. Northern took on Iowa last week in Iowa, scored 3 points, blocked a punt on the first possession, had the ball inside the 20 and did not score. Looks
Yep,
completely inept on offense
I was
throughout the
watching
rest of
that
that
game.
game.
They were terrible.
Yep.
I think I gave
And
it.
you,
I never bet it, but I think I gave an Iowa pick last week and said that they would cover -10 against Northern
you
Illinois, and I
did. You
believe
gave a lean.
and the spread's 10 again. They're in another 10. They're 10-point underdogs again. The Huskies are so. Yeah, they looked really bad. Utah at home.
They
Uh,
beat Weber State, but it wasn't the greatest win. I think they scored like 40 points, and Northern Illinois got a better defense than Weber State. They've got, again, I mentioned him last week, but Sutton Smith's one of the best defensive pass rushers in college football. I love this under. I think Northern has played, I believe, 7 Power 5 schools in the last 5 or 6 years, and they average about 12 points a game in those games.
except the Nebraska game when they won.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
they lost to Boston College at home last year. I know they played
I was
them.
there, yeah. I think they scored 17 points in that one.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going. You can just run through.
Another one I like is Arkansas minus 14 against Colorado State. The Rams defense stinks. They cannot stop anyone. They just got torched by Hawaii and Colorado in back-to-back weeks. Nothing seems to be working for them. The offense is okay, but an SEC team going to Colorado State, that's going to be a bloodbath. Give me Arkansas minus 14.
I agree with that pick wholeheartedly, and for all the reasons you said, there's no reason to waste any more time on that one. Yeah, Colorado State got fucking ran over by Colorado. I mean, Colorado was
Yeah,
scoring at will. That game was ridiculous, and then Hawaii obviously put up 40 plus on them. So,
the
yeah, no
wagon,
reason.
Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii is a wagon. No, I'm sorry, Rainbow Warrior Nation, for the things I said during week 0.
So am I.
You have
You live and you
full.
learn.
All right. Anything else you got?
I've got a bunch more. This one I know will transition to you perfectly. Wyoming, Missouri. I know you like this over. I'm also in on the over. I got it at 52 earlier today. Wish
Yes.
I would have hammered it harder, but I love that line.
It's now moved to 56.5.
I still like it.
Yeah, and I like it too. Drew Lock is a machine. Mizzou is a point scoring machine. They also play no defense. No matter who you are, you can score points on Mizzou, but no matter who you are, Mizzou can score points on you. I know that might have just put everyone's brains in a pretzel, but just
I
trust
need a
me on
minute.
this. Missouri gives up a lot of points and they score a shit ton of points. And Wyoming's offense has looked pretty good the first couple weeks. I mean, obviously they lost last week to Washington State and Mike Leach, but Missouri's got a very comparable offense, if not even better than Washington State's, and
Yeah.
uh, quite frankly, so they're certainly better at the quarterback position, and they pump out.
Drew Lock is very good.
Drew,
That's all it comes down to.
he's a legit NFL prospect. So
Hmm.
I think Missouri has the serious potential to put up 35, 40 points themselves, which all you need out
Yeah.
of Wyoming is a few scores. So yeah, I really like that over. I think that's my lock of the week. I would be
All
leaning
right.
more in on it if it was 52, like you got it at, but I'm a big fan of that. One line that I actually really, really like is I like Clemson a lot this week. I like them a lot. I
Heading to Ryan or Kyle Field, whatever it's called in Texas A&M. I'm all over the place. It's Kyle Field.
Yes. Yeah, so I just think hard to really gauge Clemson because I mean, obviously great on paper and they won convincingly as they should, but they haven't played a quality opponent yet. I just think with Texas A&M, Jimbo's there. It's just a little too soon for them to
Yeah.
be. It's just a little too soon, and Clemson's a wagon. Minus 12. Another game I'm teasing. I'm getting Clemson down to minus 3, minus 4. Just I think they cover anyway, but I really really like Clemson. I just think it's too soon. The same logic for the reason that I bet on Florida State is why I'm now going to bet against Jimbo Fisher.
Hey, you live. This is called reading and reacting. This is what good defenses do all the time. They read the play, they react to it.
I made some
So
adjustments at halftime. All right, so
exactly, exactly. I'm with you. I like Clemson a lot. I think they'll win that game. I think they'll cover the spread as well. I thought Kelly Bryant looked really good last week. Trevor Lawrence, we obviously know he's ultra talented, but with a guy like that breathing down your neck, Kelly Bryant really performed pretty well. Showed off some flashes of ability that we didn't really see him have consistently last year, including the deep and intermediate routes. So that's good to see. And I mean, if you're Dabo, you got to be so excited about that.
yeah, oh definitely. Another game that's really interesting is Penn State at Pitt. A little bit of an interstate rivalry there.
Yeah.
It's right now Pittsburgh is +9 at home at Heinz Field. Any thoughts there? I know you're a big McSorley guy, big Penn State guy. Obviously, a hell of a scare at home, going to overtime
Hmm.
um, against Appalachian State, and Narduzzi is a defensive-minded coach. So I don't think Penn State's offense was the problem. You put up 45 points. You usually are going to go home feeling pretty good about yourself and your team, but don't know if you have it. I would lean Penn State there, but I mean, we've seen the Pittsburgh defense under Narduzzi step up before, most notably when they played Miami last year. But that same Miami team looked absolutely horrible against LSU. But at any rate, I'll take Penn State -9. The confidence level there is like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 because I know in the back of my mind Pittsburgh can play close. I mean, if Appalachian State could play close, they can do it as well. But
Right,
yeah.
right. I'm I'm with you there. I think Penn State is the right pick. McSorley didn't play extremely well. He didn't throw his first touchdown until the final minutes of the fourth quarter. But I mean, you can put up 45 points without your best player really doing too much. That's good enough for me. I think they'll win this one by double digits. They've got to come out and look better. They were atrocious pretty much everywhere on the field last week. And frankly, lucky that they didn't lose that game. They gave up 28 points in the fourth quarter to go down. They were up. They went down. At that point, needed a last minute drive to come back and tie the game.
Okay, there are two games. First of all, thank you. Second of all, there's two games that I really need your opinion on, just for you to stay on brand with your gambling here. So the two
Yep.
games I need your opinion on are the Navy Memphis over of 68, and
Mm-hmm.
then Ohio State is -35 at home against Rutgers. Need them
I
both for
love
me.
it. You're teeing me up here. I'm all over the over on Memphis Navy. I think Memphis is better this year than they were last year, and that's after losing second round pick Anthony Miller to the Chicago Bears. They're going to score a ton of points. Navy just gave up 59 to Hawaii, who is a lesser opponent than Memphis is, but they also scored 41. The offense looks okay. They got it going later in the game when they really needed to. They did show a little bit of a passing attack, which is more than I expected out of Navy, but I love that over. I also am all over the Buckeyes -35 against Rutger. This is a bloodbath. This might be similar to when Michigan dropped 79 points on Rutgers. I think that's how bad this one could be.
Oh
I think
wow.
Oregon State is better than Rutgers, and it's one of those games. Play angry. Dwayne Haskins looked really good. I think he's just going to improve week over week, and the defense is got to be pissed off. They gave up 31 points to Oregon State. There's no way they give up double digits to Rutgers. All over that.
One line that I don't know why it's speaking to me, and as an Illini guy, it's hard to admit. Northwestern -3 at home to Duke. Hmm. That's just
Duke looked pretty good, albeit it was against Army. Their defense is good. The offense is a little questionable. I also am not convinced that Northwestern is a good team yet. I don't have an opinion either way. That's one I'd stay away from until I see Northwestern for a couple weeks, because that is the most Jekyll and Hyde team in all of college football.
yeah, that's very true. Just for some reason, them at home and yeah, and then another line I like a lot. I don't know, like a lot. The over of 64.5 in the Oklahoma UCLA game is speaking to me. Uh, Oklahoma
Yeah,
looked prolific, and we know Chip Kelly can might be able to will his team to 3 or 4 scores in the game like this, even if it's not going to be close. But right now, UCLA they opened plus 25. The Bruins are now plus 30. Um, I'm not going to bet that spread.
I
You
am.
know, you are.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be Oklahoma.
All over the Sooners. Not going to be wrong twice in a row. Kyler Murray looked ridiculous. That defense, though. Rodney Anderson touched the ball. I'm going to talk the offense real quick, and then I'll go to the defense momentarily. Rodney Anderson touched the ball 5 times, had 100 yards and a score. Sermon touched the ball, I believe, 6 times, had almost 100 yards and a score. Hollywood Brown had over 150 yards receiving, and the starters barely even played in that game. Kyler Murray threw the ball 8 or 9 times for 200 yards, and the defense just absolutely shut down one of the best running backs in college football. So I'm all over the Sooners -30.
All right. Anything
And
else?
in case people forgot, UCLA just lost to Cincinnati at home.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. Didn't really think about that one. I was thinking more of the over in that game, but yes.
I like the over too. I think Oklahoma can get there on their own.
Oh, come on. They're not going to hit 65. That would be patently absurd.
I think they can.
They could, yeah. All we need is a couple scores. But yeah, I'm all over. Give me the. You know what? I fucked up, Brian. We have a slight adjustment we need to make to our
Let's
show.
hear it.
Um, I looked at what the line opened at with Wyoming, Missouri. It is still 52.
Oh, beautiful. Jump on that immediately.
Yeah, sorry, folks. Yes, at 52, put it in everything you got. Any teaser you got, bet it straight up. Just, um, yeah, I really, 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 really like this one. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be a money making machine. Missouri, Wyoming. If you have to make one bet this week, just put it on the over. That's my lock of the week is involving Wyoming. A second game in a row, I think they're going to lose in a high scoring affair. But so Wyoming overs are becoming the new Navy overs, probably because their defense sucks. But whatever.
That could be it.
All
I'm
right.
gonna do
And
Iowa -4 against Iowa State real
oh,
quick.
okay.
Um, Iowa has covered 4 of the last 6 times they played Iowa State at home by double digits. Just a nice little tidbit there. A team that knows they can do it. -4 seems like a good line. I do like Kyle Kempt and Montgomery for Iowa State, but they didn't play it all last week, so we'll call it as it is. This is their first game. Iowa already played, shook the rust off a little bit. Buffalo Temple over 51. Tyree Jackson is an absolute baller for Buffalo. He threw 6 touchdown passes last week. I think he can do something very similar. Temple lost to Villanova, FCS Villanova, not the basketball team, but they have a football team at home. Ball State +35 against Notre Dame. This is a classic Notre Dame letdown game. They're going to win, but it's not going to be by as much as they should. Wisconsin, New Mexico, under 61, hammering that line. Wisconsin's offense did not show me anything that said that they are capable of putting up 50 plus points on an opponent. Sure enough, this week they'll do it, but I don't think New Mexico scores more than 7 points. Mississippi State minus 8.5 against Kansas State. Kansas State barely survived against South Dakota at home. Mississippi State gets their starting quarterback, Nick Fitzgerald, back, and they have an SEC quality defense. I think that's an easy one. And Hawaii over. I'm doing it. I'm all in on the Hawaii overs this year. They're playing Rice, who barely beat Prairie View at home. Over 71. That's my card in college football.
Oh wow, Brian, there's a lot of shit you're throwing at the wall, man. I hope it sticks.
We'll see. And the lock of the week is the Buffalo Temple over.
Buffalo Temple.
Yes, over 51.
Did you already go through it, or can you explain again why it's your lock, though? Why are you Supreme?
Tyree Jackson had 6 touchdown passes last week. He's only going to get better as the season goes on. Temple lost to Villanova. I think that's, as easy as it gets.
Okay. Let's shift it over to the NFL. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. So weekly, I've been doing for the last 2 years a blog post at letmebefrankblog.com showing my gambling escapades through the NFL, mostly using spreads occasionally with the over, but 5 bets every week, 1 unit every bet, throw it out every Thursday before the Thursday game, and then we'll go from there. So I've got 5 this week. Nick, I know you've got a few, but let's just open. I'll throw out a couple of games I've got, and then you run through yours. New England minus 6.5 against Houston. This is a tough one because I think a lot of people like the Texans. I am a firm believer in the Brady, Belichick, Portnoy group. They always find ways to win. I know that it was a 3-point game last season with Deshaun Watson at quarterback for the Texans and that he'll be back. However, he's coming off a knee injury and it's not his first. I also think that the Patriots got better defensively this offseason. So I'm going with New England minus 6.5. Did you pick this one, or where are you standing on this?
I'm just going to be on the record as saying none of my bets have been placed anywhere yet, but you know where I'm leaning on a lot of stuff.
Right.
I fully anticipate betting on New England here. I just think they're going to come out motivated after the Super Bowl loss. It's in Foxborough. Brady and Belichick have been getting a lot of shit this offseason, and is Brady going to retire soon? And you guys lost to fucking Nick Foles, and Belichick sat Malcolm Butler, this, that, and the other thing. Deshaun Watson's coming off a knee injury. New England's going to come out, and they're going to put up some points at home in Foxborough. They'll have enough defense to get by. I'm looking at a -6 right now. I definitely think they win by a touchdown. Throw them in any teaser you got. Let's get it going. There you go.
Yep.
New England all day.
All right. I've also got New Orleans minus 9.5 against the Bucks. Love that line.
Absolutely.
There's no
Jameis. They're gonna be horrible.
No Jameis. The offense, they lost their running back. I don't know what they really have going on in Tampa other than getting Dirk Cutter fired. The defense was terrible last year. I don't think they're going to be any better this year. I mean, Mike Evans is great, but he has no one.
In fairness, they have Cameron Brate, Deshaun Jackson, and Mike Evans, but I don't know who the hell's going to get on the ball.
Yeah. It's not – I just don't see any way, even with Mark Ingram suspended. The Saints' defense is really good, and their offense is obviously very good. It's been their calling card for the past decade with Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Alvin Kamara is going to have a big game. Drew Brees is going to have a big game. I think they win this one by at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm all in on New Orleans in that game. Tampa Bay is incredibly shitty as it is and incredibly shitty without Jameis Winston. So the Bucks are going to get fucked. How about that? There you go.
There you go. Nice little rhyme.
They're going to get messed up. I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah.
Give me the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers. America's darling, the Cleveland Browns, Hard Knocks own, plus 4.5 at home. I am still not buying that Le'Veon Bell isn't going to just show up for this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I don't know what to make of the situation.
It's not bad.
I see his reasons, but I also see the reasons for not paying him.
And James Conner's not bad. He's not a bad backup.
Yeah. Pit product.
I mean, do we really think Tyrod Taylor is going to get in a shootout with Ben Roethlisberger and win this thing? Do we
I
actually
don't
think?
think it's going to be a shootout. I think both defenses are pretty good. I think the Steelers have the better team overall, absolutely, but I don't
Pittsburgh
think it's going to
money
be
line
a
of
shootout.
minus 215 has a lot of parlay potential. That you can take another game and get that shit to even money real fast.
Hmm.
Um, or go, in the pluses of that. Another game I really like though is it's kind of an interesting pick, and it's not the sexiest matchup in the NFL, but it's a game I totally have my eye on, and I just totally have my eye on this game is Cincinnati plus 2.5
Hmm.
at Indianapolis is criminal. Absolutely criminal. The Bengals have one of the best front sevens in all of football. Their pass rush is legitimately elite. The Andrew Luck's first game back, he still has no offensive line. Quentin Nelson by himself doesn't fix all 5 units of that
Right.
offense. Marlon Mack's health is a big time question mark. And yeah, I mean Dalton, AJ Green, I think they might put up some points. So I really plus 125, plus 2.5. There's my first upset of the week right there. Is I think Cincinnati can go into a dome and throw the ball around, and they can get after Andrew Luck. And to be quite honest, I don't think that Indy's run game, pass game, offensive line is anything to fear right now.
They've got so many holes in Indianapolis. Like getting Andrew Luck back is great, but it doesn't solve any issues. Honestly, it might hurt them because he's probably going to win them a couple more games than they would otherwise.
Right. I'm just
I
not sold that his first game back there he's going to be able to
right.
dominate against a good front seven. I mean, the Bengals have a very very good defensive line. So
And what happens if he gets hit?
I mean, yeah, he just crumbles. So
Yeah. I do have an upset pick. I only have one this week, but it's Washington plus one at Arizona. Sam
wow.
Bradford, I have no idea what to make of him. He was supposedly healthy last year and then missed the entire rest of the season with a knee injury. He is okay when he's healthy. David Johnson is back, sure, but I think Alex Smith and that offense, AP now in the mix. It's his revenge game. I think they win that one by a field goal.
Yeah, and you know what? Just honestly, this whole week, I don't think these are that sexy of matchups to
No,
start the year.
it's tough. Yeah, I mean, week one and week two are always the toughest of the season because the NFL, more than any other league, you just have no idea what these teams are going to look like
even if I wasn't
because,
even if I wasn't gambling, like honestly, the two
right.
night games are the best ones. But like, Green Bay Chicago is going to be a good game now, especially with Khalil
Hmm.
Mack in the fold. And the game it hasn't started yet, but unfortunately, we can't give you a line in time. But for the Thursday night opener, Eagles banner night, it's a toss up game between them and Atlanta, playoff rematch of last year, wild card weekend. So. Yeah, those are I mean, just even from a watcher's perspective, I mean, Tennessee, Miami, Cincinnati, Indy, Buffalo, Baltimore. I mean, Washington, Arizona, Seattle, Denver, Jets, Lions. I mean, Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good. It's good the NFL's back, and you got to gamble it just to gamble on it. But God, this slate of games really sucks.
Yeah. It's nothing to write home about. I've got two more left on my card. I don't know what you've got.
Did you take the Rams? We didn't script this.
I did not take the Rams.
Okay. There's a lot of people down on Oakland now that with they don't trust Gruden and Khalil Mack
Hmm.
leaving, and they think LA is going to roll in there. But yeah, tell me who you got.
My last two games, I've got Minnesota minus 6.5 over everyone's darling, Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers.
Okay.
Minnesota is the best team in the NFC. They've got the best defense in the NFL. And I actually like Kirk Cousins. They've also got Dalvin Cook back, who would have been the rookie of the year had he not gotten hurt. So I love the Vikings. I think they're the best team, not named New England, in the entire league. And they could very
Wow.
well convince me that they are the best team in the league in a couple weeks. So I love that one. And I've got Dallas, Carolina over. I think this is the Cam Newton bounce back season that we've been waiting for. I also think that Dallas always finds ways to score points, no matter how well or poorly they're playing. No, Jason Witten obviously hurts. The receiving core is kind of up in the air for Dallas, but Zeke is still there, and Dak he's never really played extremely poorly. We haven't seen him play in just an outright terrible game yet.
All right, I got one more pick. Give
Yep.
me Seattle in the altitude +3 at
Wow.
Denver. At Denver.
Wow.
There are a lot of people down on Seattle, rightfully so. Um, and the defense isn't what it was. But I just think with Russell Wilson and enough weapons on offense with Baldwin and Chris Carson potentially having a good game and the lack of explosiveness out of the Denver offense, I definitely think this is poised to be an ugly, low-scoring game. Vegas definitely thinks it's going to be low-scoring it with an over-under of 42.5. But I think there's a lot of value in Seattle +3 and +135.
I like that. Yeah, I mean that's another one of those tough ones. Everyone's talking so down on Seattle that I don't know what to think of them.
But what is
It's
Denver?
Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll though. Like they just win. That's what they do.
Yeah. And I think, it might not be their. I mean, the Rams might be finish better than them. The Niners might finish better than them. They'll finish better than Arizona. But I have a hard time seeing them, Denver, waltzing by them. I really do.
Yeah. That's all I've got. I don't know if you've got anything else.
I think that's a wrap, man. I think that's about it. And also, one thing I forgot going back to college, I forgot to mention is my damn line. I failed to cover against Kent State. So that was another L I took
Mm-hmm.
that I forgot to mention. And there's some rumors. There's no lines out yet, but if you go on OddsShark, um, they were projecting at the moment. They have a calculator that creates, future outcome predictions, and it's saying
Right.
Western Illinois in Champaign, 19.6 to 15 win. So this
That's
thing is,
wild.
if you round it up, they're basically saying the Leathernecks are going to roll into Champaign. FCS Western Illinois is going to roll into Champaign and win that game by 4 or 5 points. So five, we'll call it five because that's rounding up. But yeah, as an Illini guy, I'm down on them after the performance, but if this line comes out and they're anticipating it being competitive, just out of pride, just out of pride, I'm taking Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. It's one of those things where it's put up or shut up. Like you've got to represent.
Yeah, if they come out with some stupid line like Illinois -3 at home against an FCS team, then I'm gonna fucking hammer it. And it'll be a double whammy because if my school loses to Western Illinois and I lose like $100 or something, then
Mhm.
it's just a nice double whammy. But I mean, yeah, just the fact that OddsShark has it like that
It's weird.
they're predicting them at a Big Ten school to lose at home to an FCS school. I mean, that's pretty interesting. You don't see that very
Yeah,
often, no matter who the teams are involved. Um,
you absolutely do not.
that's all I
There's
got.
one game to keep an eye on. The FCS, FBS lines usually come out like 24 hours ish before the games. North Texas, I can't remember who they're playing, but they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, Mason Fine. They scored 40 some points by the third quarter last week. Watch out for that line. If it's anything under 30, I love it.
Okay.
But other than that, that's all we've got for this week. Be sure to check us out at letmebefrankblog.com. Subscribe, leave a review on iTunes, and we will be back next week.
All right, Brian.